85% of the attacks nowadays are based on compromised identities, machines or users. So I think that the world and the situation shut out loud and said, okay, we need a change. And this is where we gave birth to Rezonate, that resonates security into identities and from identities to the entire business cycle. Here we are challenging the old systems and bringing a new approach to cybersecurity.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech.
Thank you very, very much for being here, Roy. I'm really excited to talk to you today about your journey, about Rezonate, looking at cloud resources and infrastructure core and identity and access. Previously, you were the Vice President of Product and Incubation at Cybereason. You were also in the Prime Minister's office in the Global Cyber Defense Operations, and of course, education from MIT Sloan. And so really an amazing background, and I'm excited to learn with you how you've channeled a lot of your learnings and understandings into Rezonate and what's happening today in the cyber cloud environment. So again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Thank you.
So talk to me about the foundation of Rezonate. I mean, you've done a lot in the cyberspace. Where are we at in 2022 that lead you to create this company?
Well, there's a major shift to cloud nowadays. The shift started a few years ago, but it's soaring and soaring. And even with recession, is going up and up for cost saving, for increasing the velocity of building the business. And this shift from endpoint centric and network centric to cloud centric kind of called out for a change in the paradigm of security. And an identity of users and of machines became the new vantage point for both attackers and defenders. Now, we've challenged the current approach, and we saw a lot of retrofit of technologies of the old days, into the cloud that doesn't work. 85% of the attacks nowadays are based on compromised identities, machines or users. So I think that the world and the situation shut out loud and said, okay, we need a change. And this is where we gave birth to Rezonate, that resonates security into identities and from identities to the entire business cycle. And here we are challenging the old systems and bringing a new approach to cybersecurity.
Incredible. Okay, and so you've gone through different cycles with organizations, and so you're starting Rezonate. Tell me a little bit about really the pain point that Rezonate is coming to solve in identity and access.
Great. So in the shift to cloud and to SaaS-centric businesses, we kind of see that there's a shared security model that has been changed. We've transitioned tons of the security responsibility to the vendors of the apps, of the cloud native, of the third parties that we're working with. The only thing that left that we fully control on is the identities, which is who is the user, who is the machine that we allow to get access to our data, to our infrastructure, to our processes. What can they do and in what circumstances? What are their privileges and how do they use it? Mm-hmm. Now, when we shifted to the cloud, the permission management and the access management dispersed. It means that there was no only one person in security that granting permissions, because we're building the business in velocity. Now DevOps and developers delegate access to machines and to users all the time. So there's a full mesh of managing this world of identity and what can they do and when can they do it. There's no central orchestration paradigm that allow to play with it. And it leads a lot of exposure. The changes in identities and access are being done in a very periodic and temporary view, which opens a lot of exposures that hackers today are exploiting and using in order to get access to your organization, right? So what Rezonate brings to the world is the ability to discover all the identities in a very uniformic way, to create one storyline per identity, per user, per organization, to find these areas of exposure and to fix them automatically together with DevOps and security teams, and to protect, meaning to detect attempts to compromise this identity and use them against the organization and shut down these attacks. So it's a full-blown suite that covers identities from the day they are born to the day that they are dismissed.
Mm-hmm. And so if we're looking at, identities as a growing threat, can you touch a little bit more on, different use cases of where that may be happening and why this is a bigger than ever pain point right now?
Yes, of course. So we're delegating nowadays a lot of the permissions and responsibilities to machines, right? We have virtual machines, we have Lambda functions, cloud functions, and other compute resources that are working. As a matter of fact, the ratio between human flesh and bone users and machines is 1 to 20 with that. Now, imagine, the most common use case. There was a machine in the cloud that was penetrated, right? The attacker gained access to this machine, and now it acts on its behalf. It grasps the role, the credential, the service role that allows this machine to operate in the cloud and laterally move to other machines with this identity, switching identities through the cloud and getting the access to whatever resource, data, or infrastructure that he wants, right? Until he owns the entire account. So the transition is no longer between machines and between network, it's between identities and their capabilities. This is what happened in Uber, for example. A very strong user was compromised. His Okta account was compromised by an MFA fatigue attack, right? The attacker triggered him to allow the access. Then the attacker laterally moved to the SaaS portal, with other identity, and then get access to all the SaaS applications. And then he delegated to another identity of this user in the cloud, in this case in AWS, and proliferated or moved laterally across the network and across the cloud itself. The ability to connect these dots, to monitor them, to respond promptly when one is compromised and not allowing the attacker to go to another, this is the main challenge that we're seeing today.
Incredible. All right. So tell me a little bit about why you've been in the cyberspace for a long time. What is it about the cyberspace that gets you so excited about? I mean, after a long tenure in the cyber domain, you went into MIT Sloan, and so obviously you're exposed to a variety of different things around the world that entrepreneurs would be excited to tackle. Why? What is your relationship with cyber here?
Well, it goes long back to the age of 6 and 7 when I started to program, and the main thing was to change the way that things are done, right? To tweak, to overclock, to change the way that software is being delivered or hardware is being delivered. So this core, this powder that comes with me to every challenge or everything that I look at is still here, right? It's tweaking a game to add the superhero, like some more power and stamina. And, it's kind of dressed with other things when I'm going to tackle a problem. Now, when I look through the MIT lens and through the Cybereason lens and other lenses to the world, we saw a shift, a huge shift that can, been done once in a generation. The cloud is the next major shift after the internet that was introduced in the 80s or 70s. And as a defender, I saw that all the old stuff just doesn't work. I sense the pain of the big organizations that are being attacked. And it took me back to the days in the government that we had the same problem. We saw major, vast number of attacks. And we knew that we need to change the paradigm. So the opportunity to get a new thing into the security world that will solve the major problem that just have been created, right? Like the new thing, the first or second mover advantage here, the need to change the way that we're looking at the security world nowadays. This was the thing that drive me to do what we're doing in Rezonate.
Wow. Okay. And so if we're looking at sort of a greater vision for Rezonate with what you're talking about, how would you paint this greater vision as Rezonate a part of the solution?
So we believe that identity will have greater and greater responsibility in the way that we're looking at security today. We started with cloud infrastructure, which was the most complex, that needs to be demystified for both DevOps and security people through the identity lens. But identity serves in the SaaS world as well, right? So we're getting licenses and credentials to applications like Salesforce and like NetSuite and others. And then it comes to the dev area as well, as machine today grants permission to other machines to work. So the greater vision is that Rezonate will be the platform that will aggregate and that will recalculate the way that these identities are working together. And near real time will decide if a specific identity can get access or not based on its posture, based on the threats that it has. But it will look and orchestrate across all the silos that we can see today in the identities. And it will empower the security teams to do the work much better due to this visibility and automation.
And so how is the standard being created for how identities should be managed? Is there some uniformity or some consistency across the world? Is there a need for new types of thinking around identity management and posture management? And who's responsible today for sort of setting the standard?
Well, that's a great question. I wouldn't say that it's a chaotic world right now, just super dispersed and super siloed. And this is where Rezonate and other vendors are starting to speak with Gartners, with the identity security alliances, with a lot of trials to set a standard over here. We're basically doing this together with our customers and the other vendors. So for example, we have great number of customers that works with Okta as an identity providers and with AWS as an identity providers. So we're bringing them all in and trying to find a way to unify and orchestrate both the data structure and the decision making over there. But there's no one single soul today that is setting the standard. It's kind of being shaped as we're speaking right now based on customer choices.
Mm-hmm. And so in regards to your ability to create thought leadership and trust so that your standard or your sort of approach becomes more widely acceptable, are there different things that you found to be more effective or less effective, also considering your previous background in understanding the cyberspace and how security teams create trust?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is two phases that we're taking, or two layers that we're working on. The first one is to be on every stage and every conference and every webcast speaking about the way that we believe that identity should be managed, should be treated across vendors and across platforms. But the second and most, I think, the impactful area is to come with true customers' use cases and tailor them down together with the vendors that are related to these use cases. For example, if Uber was penetrated through Okta to AWS and security posture fell between the lines between these two, we're actually solving this problem together with the vendors. Okay, we're bringing customers that are concerned, and we're building this together. And this is how do we shape both from top down and from bottom up the approach to security of the identity. We also have our own code or manifesto of how identity should be crafted. What are the best practices to manage it all across security and DevOps? And we're simulating it right now in the platform and starting to spread the rumor across DevOps teams with all sorts of social media channels and more.
Phenomenal. So being a cyber entrepreneur, what is that like? So if there's many different types of entrepreneurs, but you've been in the cyberspace for quite some time. And so this is almost looping back to the question of why you're excited about cyber, but what is it like being a founder or an entrepreneur in the cyberspace? Do you think it's different from other spaces? Is it similar?
I think there's both similarities and differences. The main difference is that we have the theme of the good guys and the bad guys over here, right? The heroes that save the day, and the vast amount of people that are trying to compromise your organization in a very super opportunistic way. There's opportunism versus a very structured and systematic way. There's the market forces are a little bit different when it comes to cyber. This is one. Two, I think that cyber is more challenging, and this is what drew me in, because there's a lot of different approaches to solve one problem. Like look at identity or like other markets, it seems saturated, but it's not, right? The market yet to decide what approach to take. So I think that the other difference in cyber entrepreneurs is that you need to be very diligent in the way or like in the approach for yourself to solve a problem. You need to be very convincing that you are the platform, right? Across like, I don't know, like dozens of offers. And the similarities is that this is like a roller coaster on steroids, right? There's one day that you're getting in front 10 customers and blow their minds, and the day after you have deployment and conversion and everything worked good. And there's another day that you can just like speak with someone that says like, listen, we're in a recession, we don't have a budget, like we're focusing on the basics right now. So with this roller coaster of validation, this roller coaster of building things right, of focusing, of challenging other approaches of super talented and smart people to solve the same problem that we're solving, these are the things that get me excited every day, right?
And so, the types of people that you enjoy working with, how do you define them, or who do you find that you most resonate with in terms of, the types of people that you like building with?
Well, so first of all, be politically correct and say that I like the variety, right? Like the idea is to fuse some minds of DevOps, of our security people and security leaders together to tackle the problem. I think that there's no specific person that can solve this problem, by itself. But the ones that I really like to speak with are the ones that are not looking for the best practice that existing out there and then to deploy it and employ it and then pray to God that they'll be secure. Like the more open-minded, it can be like DevOps, it can be CISOs, it can be CIOs, it can be security practitioners and like defenders. It's like the type of people, tech or non-techie, that says, listen, we cannot work with 30, 40 security products and pray to God that it will happen and to work toward one practice. We need a new approach. And these early adopters, these mindful buyers that are looking for the solution for the world long term, these are the ones that I really like to work with.
And so if you're looking at the next year or so for Rezonate, where are you headed?
So we're finding the sweet spot right now and building the sweet spot between the cloud infrastructure world and its identities, machines, or users, which can be hundreds or thousands when it's even, we're speaking even in a small organization, to the SaaS area, in which you have some sort of, let's say, islands of private clouds of companies, again, like Salesforce, like O365 and others, and to connect them both together to a unified area. This is what we're focusing on in the coming year. And moreover, we believe that you cannot only do security posture or preventive actions. You need to be in line. You need to be in real time. You need to detect the attempts of attackers to compromise the identities. You need to shut them down based on what you're doing. So the launch of threat detection and response on top of the other things that we already have, and serving different and other personas in the more reactive world, this is where we're going with Rezonate. So it's like a vertical approach and horizontal approach for this problem. Identity 360, this is how we call it.
I love that. Well, Roy, I really want to appreciate and thank you for the time you came here. And I want to wish you best of luck with Rezonate. It sounds like it's in this new type of world where identity and access are a critical part, and the responsibility is moving more to machines. It's obvious that you're right there on the in the right timing, and it sounds with a lot of intentionality to bring your experience and excitement towards making a big impact here for organizations and security teams. And so I really want to thank you for spending these 20 minutes with me. I look forward to cheering from the side and wishing you best of luck on the journey. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Michael. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.